In the mid-1980s, the Masters of the Universe toy line achieved raving success, largely fueled by a highly popular cartoon strategically designed to boost toy sales. Capitalizing on this triumph, Mattel, the toy manufacturer, sought to expand its market by introducing a spin-off line targeted at young girls. Thus, She-Ra, Princess of Power, made its debut in 1985, quickly garnering widespread acclaim. Now, what truly sparked curiosity among the kids was the character's captivating backstory, which portrayed her as the long-lost twin sister of Prince Adam, with Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe Revolution, bringing back all the OG cool characters in the Masters of the Universe roster. It was about time She-Ra made some noise in the house. Although the franchise has not yet confirmed her appearance for the next season, I think it is safe to say this OG character is up for a banger comeback. But She-Ra has had a pretty intriguing backstory, so it was about time we explored it. Without wasting another second, let's get right to it.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Hordak had just lifted Adora from her cradle and was about to take Adam too.
Princess Adora was kidnapped at birth. In the realm of Eternia, King Randor and Queen Marlena welcomed twins, a girl named Adora and a boy named Adam. But their joy was overshadowed by the evil Horde invasion right after the twins were born. Despite the royal guard and the protective magic of Castle Grayskull, the Horde, led by Hordak and his apprentice Skeletor, sought to capture the twins in order to prevent them from embracing their destiny. Now, Hordak had zero clue on what this so-called destiny is, but nonetheless Adora was successfully kidnapped. Luckily, Man-at-Arms intervened before Adam could be taken, prompting Hordak to escape with Adora and leave Skeletor behind. In retaliation, a betrayed Skeletor disclosed the Horde's base at Snake Mountain to Man-at-Arms, who, accompanied by the sorceress, set out to rescue Adora. However, Hordak eluded them by escaping through a portal into another dimension, closing it before they could follow. Naturally, the loss of the princess cast a profound sorrow over the kingdom of Eternia. So, the sorceress channeled the magic of Grayskull to erase the memory of the princess's birth and abduction from all Eternians, including the infant Adam. It was only Randor, Marlena, Man-at-Arms, and the sorceress who chose to retain their memory. While the kingdom of Eternia moved on, Adora grew up under the care of a Horde servant named Chakra, who provided her with kindness during her formative years, even though they shared a very strong bond. As Adora reached the age to serve the Horde, Hordak, recognizing her potential, subjected her to a spell performed by the Shadow Weaver. This enchantment ensured Adora's loyalty to the Horde, suppressing any inclination to question their methods. Impressed by her abilities, Hordak then elevated her to the position of Force Captain.
I know that you are a lying rebel spy and that you are under arrest.
Good work.
How does Adora embrace her destiny? One day, the sorceress started experiencing peculiar dreams, reminding her of the fateful night when Adora was abducted from the royal nursery. Awakened by an otherworldly presence, she discovers a sword hovering above her bed, strikingly similar to the one she had recently given Prince Adam. It was almost like the sword was calling for her. The sorceress then followed the sword through the corridors of Castle Grayskull, which then led her to the door of a portal that was previously sealed. Recognizing the significance of this moment, the sorceress summons Adam and Cringer to the castle because it is finally time for them to know the truth. Upon Adam's arrival, she reveals that the sword which led her to the mystery portal is finally ready to be wielded by its rightful owner. She then sends Adam and Cringer through the portal, who find themselves in the lush green expanse of Etheria. Their journey takes them to the village of Thamor, where a disturbance at the Laughing Swan Inn introduces them to Horde troopers. Adam, confronted by the troublemakers, is joined by a young man named Bo, and together they triumph over the menacing troopers. Bo then takes Adam with him to the Whispering Woods and recognizes him as an ally to the Great Rebellion. As Adam urges the rebellion to stand against the Horde, they march towards Bright Moon. As they fight, the rebellion is on the verge of being defeated until a timely intervention by He-Man turns the tide. Amidst the chaos, Adora escapes, and He-Man pursues her. He then confronts her and shows Adora the sorceress's sword. When the sword begins to glow, He-Man finally realizes that he has found its rightful owner. But before he could do anything about it, He-Man is taken down by a Horde laser and imprisoned in a Horde prison on Beast Island, while Adora takes the sword away. In He-Man's prison cell, Adora admits feeling a profound connection to the sword, sensing it was crafted for her, and even if He-Man affirms this, he clarifies that it is meant for one who fights for the good. When Adora goes on to staunchly defend her allegiance to the Horde, He-Man urges her to witness the Horde's atrocities against the innocent. So, to prove him wrong, Adora leaves with her horse Spirit to prove him wrong. As she travels past all Etherian villages, Adora witnesses the Horde's brutal tyranny firsthand, which clearly validates He-Man's claims. Meanwhile, Cal shows up to rescue He-Man from his prison cell. Adora then returns to the Fright Zone to confront Hordak, and Shadow Weaver with her newfound truth. She goes on to reprimand them for their cruelty and declares that she would no longer serve their cause. Unfortunately, Shadow Weaver realized that the sword Adora had was weakening her magic, so in order to neutralize the situation, Shadow Weaver put Adora in a magically induced coma and took away the sword. Soon, Adora wakes up with absolutely no recollection of the previous day's events. Later, she assists the Horde in capturing rebels, imprisoning them in a glass chamber intended to drain their energy for Hordak's new invention. Following this, disguised as a Horde trooper, He-Man infiltrates the Fright Zone, confronting Adora about her knowledge of the Horde's truth. Instead of acknowledging it, she arrests him, leading Hordak to put him inside a glass chamber and initiate the energy-draining process to fuel the device. When Adora voices her uneasiness about the situation, Shadow Weaver uses her magic to neutralize the situation once again. At night, Adora is woken up by an unknown echoing voice that compels her to revisit the room where He-Man is being drained. She is then drawn to the sword and notices a woman's face appearing on the jewels of the sword. This woman, the sorceress, then reveals to her that she was abducted by the Horde as an infant, and in fact, He-Man is her twin brother. The sorceress then urges her to say the empowering phrase, "For the honor of Grayskull," and vanishes, leaving Adora to pick up the sword. Realizing He-Man is in jeopardy, Adora's newfound love for her brother motivates her to break Shadow Weaver's spell. She then raises the sword, repeating the sorceress's words, and transforms into She-Ra. As She-Ra, she then frees He-Man, returning his sword and restoring his energy. As He-Man battles troopers, She-Ra leaps from a window, landing on her horse Spirit. The magic then transforms Spirit into Swift Wind, a talking unicorn with wings. Together they fly away to alert the rebellion. She-Ra then returns to aid He-Man in confronting Hordak. After the situation gets a bit safer, she tells He-Man of their blood relationship, stunning him to the core. Princess Adora's reunion with her royal family. So, at first, He-Man almost did not want to believe he had a long-lost twin, but when She-Ra recounts her encounter with the woman in the sword, He-Man, recognizing it as a sorceress, uses She-Ra's sword to summon her. The sorceress then materializes and explains the entire situation to them. Overwhelmed with emotion, She-Ra sheds tears upon learning about the circumstances of her abduction, which ends with He-Man comforting his sister in a heartfelt embrace. When Adora and Adam return to the rebel camp, Bo mistakenly believes Adam had captured the Horde captain, but Adam corrects him, revealing Adora as his sister and detailing her enthrallment by Shadow Weaver's evil spell. Adora then expresses her desire to join the rebels in their fight against the Horde. Following this, Glimmer informs them about her mother being held captive at Talon Mountain. Next we know, Adam and Adora get away from the crew to transform into He-Man and She-Ra and embark on a mission to free the Queen, liberating her from captivity. They return to the rebel camp. With the Queen safe, Adora finally felt a sense of closure and considered returning to Eternia. She, Adam, and Cringer then passed through the portal back to Eternia, while unknowingly being trailed by Hordak. After arriving in Castle Grayskull, the sorceress guides them to the royal palace, where King Randor and Queen Marlena are overjoyed at the unexpected return of their daughter, completing the family reunion. But as the royal family celebrate the reunion, Hordak and Skeletor launch a surprise attack, capturing Adora once again. However, Adora cleverly manages to trick Beastman, and using her sword, transforms into She-Ra. She then engages in a fierce battle with Webster, ultimately defeating Skeletor. After returning back to the palace, Adora informs her parents that she must return to Etheria to aid in liberating the planet from Horde's oppression, although sad, they understand her mission. While Adora promises to return to Eternia once Etheria is free, the sorceress then transports Adora and Spirit back to Etheria. Later, He-Man joins She-Ra to battle the Horde at Bright Moon. After fending off the invaders, She-Ra realizes that her true destiny lies in fighting for Etheria's freedom, which only meant that He-Man and She-Ra must part ways, as Eternia 2 awaits its champion. He-Man dubs her the Princess of Power and bids his sister goodbye.
All right, one dance and that's it.
What is Adora like? Adora has always been a captivating young woman adorned with long, wavy blonde hair, cascading just beyond her shoulders. Her vibrant blue eyes complement her fair skin and are accentuated by her alluring red lips. Adora wears a red leotard with elevated shoulder pads, almost like those sleek bathing suits. While the golden brown panels enhance the ensemble's visual appeal, she also wears a long-sleeved white shirt underneath to bring the overall look together to further complement her power suit. Adora dons cone-shaped red bracers, a chic black belt with a gleaming gold buckle, and stylish red high-heeled boots that complete her striking appearance. As Force Captain in the Horde, Adora was brutal, cunning, and embodied unwavering dedication to Hordak's cause. Void of empathy, she never really trusted her fellow Hordesmen, leveraging her rank for personal advantage. Under the influence of Shadow Weaver's corruptive magic, Adora remains resolute in her distorted moral convictions, even though others failed to agree. Shielded from the harsh realities of Etheria by her Horde allegiance, she remained oblivious to the brutality inflicted by the Horde's oppressive rule. But as Shadow Weaver's influence gradually waned, Adora's perspective shifted, exposing her to the horrors imposed by the Horde. Overwhelmed with compassion, she vehemently protested the mistreatment of Etherians and transitioned into a leader for the Great Rebellion. Soon, Adora's fearlessness played a pivotal role in her cause, readily placing herself in harm's way for the sake of others. Mirroring her alter ego, Adora exhibited unwavering loyalty and profound sympathy for the injured and oppressed. She held no reservations about confronting misconduct, regardless of the wrongdoer's status or abilities, extending this vigilance even to her friends Glimmer, Bow, and Cow. The surprising dark origins of She-Ra in the comics. After decades of speculation and intrigue, a particular adaptation in the Masters of the Universe franchise finally unveiled the long-held mystery surrounding Hordak's abduction of the infant She-Ra. Throughout the initial 2 decades of her life, She-Ra endured a childhood under Hordak's oppressive rule, steadily climbing the ranks to become one of his most indomitable soldiers. But this lingering question still persisted. What was the reason behind Hordak's intense obsession with She-Ra? Why did he even go to such lengths to kidnap and corrupt her? Well, in the pages of 2013's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, issue number 5, initially released by DC Comics, we were finally privy to the long-awaited truth. In Keith Giffen's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, issue number 5, the origin of She-Ra takes on a much darker turn. Just like her other iterations, Adora is one of the Hordak's top generals, instilling terror in the hearts of the populace. But here, she is operating under the alias Despera, and when Hordak orchestrates an invasion of Eternia, it is Adora who leads it, allowing the Horde to swiftly gain ground. Within the palace, King Randor divulges to his son Prince Adam the unsettling reason behind Adora's abduction, revealing that both she and Adam are descendants of King Grayskull, the ruler who banished Hordak thousands of years ago. Now Hordak, nursing a deep-seated grudge against Grayskull, vowed for revenge and sought to corrupt his bloodline. He patiently bided his time, and when the opportunity arrived, Hordak used Skeletor, aiming to abduct both Adam and Adora. However, he only succeeded in taking Adora before being thwarted by the vigilant sorceress. Now, rather than a random abduction, Hordak's actions against Adora were a deliberate and targeted assault in his quest for revenge against an ancient enemy. After being defeated by King Grayskull, Hordak's desire for vengeance remained unquenched. So, instead of outright eliminating Grayskull's descendants, Hordak aimed for a more insidious plan to corrupt them, infecting them with his malevolent presence and molding them in his own likeness. This sinister scheme almost reached fruition. However, Hordak's arrogance led him to underestimate He-Man and his allies. In a turn of events, they managed to break through the programming and liberate Adora, thwarting Hordak's plans and allowing her to embrace her true destiny as She-Ra. While the original Masters of the Universe and She-Ra cartoons lack detailed backstory, modern iterations of the franchise, especially in the comics, have delved into the rich world of Eternia as Keith Giffen and Pop Mahan provided She-Ra with this in-depth treatment, unraveling the tragic truth behind Hordak's abduction of her. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power 2018 animated series. In this Netflix series, Adora, as She-Ra, takes center stage and co-leads the Princess Alliance alongside Glimmer, while being a dedicated member of the Rebellion, just like her classic origin. Here too, She-Ra makes the pivotal decision to defect from the Horde upon obtaining her Sword of Protection. The transformation into the powerful Princess of Power, She-Ra, solidifies her commitment to the Rebellion cause. In part 1 of the series, on the planet Etheria, the oppressive Horde reigns supreme, facing backlash only from the Rebellion. Now, Adora, a young and loyal soldier within the Horde, staunchly believes in their role as the forces of order, viewing the princesses in the Rebellion as evil. One day, accompanied by her friend and fellow soldier Catra, Adora goes on an impromptu journey to the Whispering Woods, where she stumbles upon a mysterious sword. Enthralled by the sword's presence, Adora returns in pursuit of it, sensing an inexplicable connection to the weapon. While on this quest, she crosses paths with 2 members of the Resistance, Princess Glimmer and Bow. After facing a looming threat from a gigantic creature. Adora makes a startling discovery that the sword has the power to transform her into She-Ra, the Princess of Power. Subsequently, in part 2 of the series, setting aside their opposing roles in the ongoing war, Adora, Bow, and Glimmer forge an unexpected bond as they delve into the mysteries of a First One's Ruin, an alien race native to Eternia. Amid their exploration, Adora starts unraveling the harsh realities of the Horde and its devastating conflict. A revelation further emphasized when she witnesses a Horde assault on the tranquil village of Thamor. Empowered by the truth and transforming into She-Ra, Adora takes a stand alongside her newfound friends to defend Thamor from the relentless Horde forces, notably led by her former comrade Catra, who has now risen in ranks as Hordak's second-in-command. In the second and third season, Hordak endeavors to construct an interdimensional portal with the aim of contacting his creator, the powerful interplanetary warlord, Horde Prime. Despite the perilous consequences that include the potential destruction of the planet, Catra activates the portal. Unfortunately, this results in the sacrifice of the rebellion leader, Queen Angela, who heroically intervenes to prevent the catastrophic outcome. Now, friction emerges in the fourth season between Adora and her friend Glimmer, who has now assumed the role of the new Queen of Brightmoon after her mother's sacrifice. Meanwhile, Adora discovers that her sword holds the key to an ancient superweapon within Etheria, and to prevent the weapon's activation, Adora makes the harrowing decision to destroy her sword, consequently losing access to her She-Ra power. Etheria is then pulled through a portal, rendering it vulnerable to an impeding attack by Horde Prime's armada. The fifth and final season follows Adora's quest to liberate Etheria from the oppressive reign of Horde Prime. She successfully rescues a redeemed Catra and Glimmer from Horde Prime, rediscovering her inherent She-Ra powers in the process. Unfortunately, Horde Prime utilizes his mind control abilities to subdue much of Etheria, but ultimately, the entire crew unite their efforts to disable Horde Prime's hive mind and thwart his access to Etheria's ancient superweapon. In a climactic finale, Adora and Catra's profound love for each other prove instrumental in empowering She-Ra to annihilate both the weapon and Horde Prime, ultimately saving the universe from his tyrannical rule. He most definitely is the future villain of Masters of the Universe Revolution. The concluding scene of the Masters of the Universe Revolution Part 1 finale hinted at the unexpected arrival of She-Ra, but her character was once deemed impractical for He-Man's show. Even as He-Man's sister, the Princess of Power has always been a famous hero in her own right, and despite being initially introduced as an extension of He-Man's universe, She-Ra has managed to carve out her own animated franchise. Following her appearance alongside He-Man in the 1985 animated movie He-Man and She-Ra, The Secret of the Sword, She-Ra took center stage in her own show. After headlining She-Ra, the Princess of Power in the 1980s, Adora even returned to lead the rebooted series, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, on Netflix. But over time, the characters of He-Man and She-Ra drifted apart, starring in separate adventures. This separation continued in Masters of the Universe Revelation, which initially excluded She-Ra. Now, Kevin Smith justified this decision by blaming it to rights issues preventing He-Man and She-Ra from sharing the same screen. But the brain-wrecking ending of Masters of the Universe Revolution Part 1 suggests a long-awaited reunion between She-Ra and He-Man on TV, because the final scene unveils a masked female character identified as Desperate and voiced by Grey Delisle. Plus, she even promises Hordak a speedy recovery after he sustained severe injuries, and following his recuperation, they plan to launch an attack on Eternia, aiming to defeat Skeletor and He-Man. The use of the Desperate title in the credits serves as a confirmation that this new character is indeed a version of She-Ra, drawing from various continuities, where she adopts this evil alter ego before transforming into the Princess of Power. In the original cartoons, we established that Hordak raised and trained Adora, explaining her allegiance to him in Masters of the Universe Revolution. Probably here too, Adora, under a spell, served the evil Horde army after being separated from her biological family. Plus, the act of Despera rescuing Hordak in Revolution acknowledges their relationship from the classic She-Ra series. There was also an initial hint at She-Ra's involvement in Revolution that predates the significant Despera revelation at the end, because in Episode 3, a scene shows Hordak holding what appears to be a baby outside King Randor's house, and nearby, Queen Marlena is seen with an infant Prince Adam in her arms, which most definitely opens up a major plot hole for the next season to address, thus potentially offering up a secret origin story for She-Ra, because this flashback sheds light on how Hordak came to have Princess Adora in his care. Now, the introduction of this new character in Revolution, with an unmistakable connection to She-Ra, prompts speculation about the circumstances that facilitated her unexpected entry entry into the series, because in the past, Kevin Smith has explained that the rights to He-Man and his supporting characters are owned by Mattel, while it is DreamWorks that holds the rights to She-Ra, He-Man's twin sister. This discrepancy initially prevented the inclusion of She-Ra in Masters of the Universe Revelation 2. The cameo appearance of Despera in the Part 1 finale only suggests a potential resolution to the rights issues behind the scenes. This development could open the door for She-Ra to appear in He-Man shows and vice versa. Another plausible scenario is that the show may have limitations specifically regarding the She-Ra character, and the introduction of Despera could act as a loophole. It is conceivable that Masters of the Universe Revolution can feature the Princess Adora character, provided she maintains her Despera identity and never officially becomes She-Ra. While this may be a fun take on the character, I am not sure how the canon fans would handle it. Irrespective of the factors that enabled She-Ra's appearance in Masters of the Universe Revolution Episode 5, it is evident that she will play a crucial role in the show's future, because the setup for He-Man's upcoming battle is distinctively tied to Despera's scene, with Motherboard deceased, Evil Lyn having fully redeemed herself, and Skeletor temporarily out of the picture. He-Man currently lacks a strong opponent, so that fact aligns with the closing tease, which strongly implies that Despera will be central to He-Man and Teela's next challenge. However, She-Ra or Despera won't be standing alone in opposition to the main characters in the next installment of Masters of the Universe. Hordak's presence in the scene indicates that, despite his defeat by Skeletor, the series is not yet finished with him. It appears that the two characters will form a duo when the series resumes with its remaining episodes. Yet, neither may be the true mastermind, because She-Ra clearly mentioned healing Hordak with the help of Horde Prime. Introduced in the original She-Ra cartoon, Horde Prime is a cosmic-level evil entity to whom Hordak and Skeletor have been submitted to in the past. So, if that serves as an indicator, Horde Prime is poised to emerge as the true antagonist in the next season of Masters of the Universe, which Hordak and Despera acting as pawns in the mastermind scheme. Whatever the premise may be, her debut sets the stage for a 2-on-2 battle, where He-Man and Skeletor form another reluctant alliance against She-Ra and Hordak. Similar to their original encounter, there is a possibility that She-Ra is aligned with Hordak due to his mind control. If that is the case, the narrative could culminate in her liberation from his influence. This could pave the way for the series to conclude with the promise of Despera eventually embracing the She-Ra mantle. While this transformation could theoretically occur within the season itself, it remains uncertain if the series will take that particular narrative route. Well, what do you guys think might happen? How many of you are rooting for Adora's character to stay true to the franchise lore? Let us know in the comments below.